In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the age-old question. What do you do if you are skinny fat? People will tell you to bulk, people will tell you to cut, and it sits you there thinking, what the fuck am I supposed to do? But what if I told you it was neither? And I'm going to break down the step-by-step process that got my client in this condition in just 8 weeks. I know, it's pretty good, even if I do say so myself. Right, so the first thing we need to define is what is skinny fat? What does it look like? How does one achieve being fat and skinny at the exact same time? Because that sounds pretty rare, right? But it's very, very common. It's probably the most common physique you'll see out there nowadays. It's where you'll see someone with not a lot of muscle, but they do have a little bit of body fat. And before I go into different strategies, we actually need to find out if you are skinny fat, because a lot of people, they do label themselves as skinny fat, but they aren't actually skinny fat. You need to determine if you are skinny fat or you're just skinny, because I would define skinny fat as someone that's around 18 to 20% body fat and they've got not a lot of muscle at all. And someone that is just skinny, I would say, is around 14 to 15% body fat, but they haven't got a lot of muscle also, but they just label themselves as skinny fat. But what they need to do is they need to go on a bulk and put on muscle, because they don't need less fat, they just need more muscle. A skinny fat physique is what I kind of like to call the beer lover physique. This is really for people that don't really move too much, they don't really lift much weights, they haven't done it consistently, and they love Jaffa cakes a bit too much. And what a lot of people will tell them to do is, oh mate, you need to bulk. No. Actually, what you need to do is you need to cut. This just confuses the fuck out of people, because A, if I bulk, I'm already fat, I'm just gonna put more fat on, right? And if they cut, they go, oh, well, I'm already skinny, I haven't got a lot of muscle, so if I cut, surely I'm just gonna look a skinnier version of myself. And that's why you shouldn't really focus on either of them, especially in the first initial stage. We'll get onto that later on in the video, but the first thing we're gonna look into is your training. Because if you've acquired this skinny fat physique, it usually means you haven't trained at all, you haven't trained consistently, or you just don't train hard in the gym. If you have acquired this skinny fat physique, but you do all of these three things, then it's genuinely more impressive that you've achieved that physique than actually putting on muscle, because that's actually mind-blowing. So completely disregard the diet for the time being. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the video. If you just went in and you were consistent in the gym, stick to a consistent routine for a year, you are going to put on muscle, especially if it's in your first 1 to 2 years of lifting. Just picking up a weight and training with a bit of intensity, you are going to put on muscle. So that is the first thing that you need to do. Get yourself into the gym. And I would start off by doing 3 full body sessions per week. And now you're thinking, Jack, how the fuck should I structure this? I don't know what the fuck I'm doing when I go into the gym. What am I supposed to do here? So basically, this is exactly how I'd like you to structure your sessions. So you want a push movement. So that's going to be a press movement, either a chest press or a shoulder press. You want a pulling movement, so you want a row, a pull down, pull-ups. You want a squat movement or a knee bend movement, so a squat or a leg press, for example. And then you want a hip hinge, so you want a deadlift, you want an RDL. And then from there, you want to add in 2 to 3 different isolations for your shoulders and arms. Maybe a lateral raise, maybe a bicep curl, a tricep push down, to add on in the end. And this is exactly how I want you to structure your sets. So there's these things called rep ranges. So basically the most common rep ranges out there are 4 to 8, 8 to 10, and 10 to 12. So what I want you to do is I want you to pick one. Overall, you might experiment through all of them, pick one and stick to them for at least 3 months before you kind of start moving around. And what you do is you pick a weight and you try and get into that rep range. If you hit the top of the rep range, what I want you to do is add 2.5 kilos and then aim to try and hit the bottom of the rep range again. Say you do bicep curls and you do 10 kilos. If you do 10 reps, congratulations, you've hit the top of the rep range. So what you would do from there is on the next set, you would up the weight by 2.5. So you go 12.5, and let's say you get 8 reps. Unreal, you've hit the bottom of the rep range. So you can probably do another set of that. And let's just say you hit 8 again. Perfect. But the big thing here that not a lot of people will do is when they go in the next week, they'll start off again at 10. But 10 is a piece of piss for you, because you've done 10, you got to the top of the rep range, you can do more. You need to level up a little bit more. So you'd start off with 12.5 the next week. And then you'd aim for around 9. You'd aim for 9 as you hit 8 on the last set. And then you're building, get to the top rep range, then you up the weight by 2.5 kilos each time. Now, when it comes to the diet side of things, the first thing that I want you to actually look into, before looking into bulk, cut, I just want you to look into the foods that you're currently eating. The chances are, if you've acquired this skinny fat physique, your diet probably is not in the best spot right now. The first thing I'll be looking into is how can you make your diet healthier? How can you prioritize whole foods a lot more? What kind of swaps can you make in your diet to make it a little bit easier for yourself before you start focusing on whether you're gonna cut or whether you're gonna bulk? And the first one that people recommend you to start doing is to start cutting. And I do see the validity in this. There are definitely pros and cons to doing this. One of the pros are you're gonna lose weight, which means the fat's gonna go and you're gonna look better and you're gonna be healthier. But on the other hand, the cons are you still haven't got a lot of muscle. So essentially what you're doing is you're bringing your body fat down, but you haven't got a lot of muscle there anyway. So you might not actually like the way you look, and you weren't happy when you didn't have the muscle before. You're still not gonna have that much muscle, but when you cut down, so it might feel like a little bit of a waste of time. And this is when we're gonna talk about something called a body recomposition. Now, before I go into the pros of actually doing this, there are actual cons to this as well. It's not a one size kind of fits all approach. It isn't gonna be for absolutely everyone because it may be not the fastest way to get you from A to B, but it is going to be the most efficient one down the line, and it's going to be one where it's going to keep you happier for longer and you're going to see a lot more progress on down the line. You're not going to see the fruits of your labor until about 6 months to a year down the line. And if you're getting into the gym and you've heard that and gone, oh, I don't want that, then don't even think about going into the gym and starting your gym kind of process, because it takes time. It is going to take time. It's a long process. I've been doing this for 6 years now. If you're coming in it just to get a 12-week transformation and be the best ever, it's just not possible. It takes time to build muscle. It takes time to build the physique that you want. So once you realize that, then this approach definitely looks like the best kind of approach, but it's not an approach you can kind of sustain forever. The first thing that I want you to do is, like I said before, I want you to focus on your diet, focus on good food choices, making swaps, because when you start cutting out the junk food, the Doritos, the Jaffa cakes, the donuts, the cookies, you start to pick better foods, foods that are healthier for you, and you start having a better structure to your day and structure to your diet. And what that is going to do then is you are then going to be losing weight off the back of that, and you're going to be losing fat off the back of that. You might actually start to gain weight in this process, but you're shooting for in and around maintenance. The reason for this, instead of going into a complete deficit, is your body needs the food to be able to build muscle, to fuel your sessions and recover from your sessions. So some people in this stage, they may gain weight, but for a lot of people, if you're resistance training, you're training hard in the gym, this isn't gonna be fat. This isn't something you need to worry about. A lot of this is gonna be muscle, but at the same time, you're gonna lose fat because you're making better food choices. 2, you're eating more protein. You're eating around 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per day, and you're adding fruit and veg to every single one of your meals. You're making better food choices. So the chances are you are going to lose fat and build muscle at the exact same time. And the big question is, how long should I be doing this for? I would be aiming to do this for 6 to 12 months, because when you do this, you're going to pack on a shit ton of muscle, especially in 6 to 12 months if you're training properly. And if your diet is on point and sleep is on point, then you will have lost fat as well. But the big question is, what do you do after? What's the big thing after you've done this? Because maybe you haven't got the dream physique after 6 to 12 months because it's very, very hard. You are trying to shoot for 2 at the same time. It can be done, but it's never going to be the end goal. So what you want to do after this is you want to either go into a bulk or a cut. It's like having 2 dartboards at the end of this, and you kind of want to go, right, which one I want to go for? You've got 1 dart, 2 dartboards, which one are you going to shoot for? Usually for a lot of people, it would be going for the 12-week cut. Cutting down for around 12 weeks, getting lean, and revealing all the muscle that they've built in that kind of recomp phase. Yes, you will have lost a little bit of fat, but now you've got a lot more muscle. It's gonna make the cut 10 times easier because you've got more muscle. Your metabolism is gonna be higher. You've spent a lot of time building up your metabolism, eating decent quality foods, cutting out the kind of junk food, and it's gonna make that cut a lot easier. Now, once you get down to that cut, you might have lost a load of weight, but you still might not be that little bit happy. Oh, I could be a little bit leaner. Instead of pushing even further and further on, what you can do is you can build them calories back up to around maintenance for a few months, and then you can then cut again if you want to and get even leaner than last time. That's one of the options. The other option is to just sit and maintain that. You might be happy with exactly what you have there, after a year or so and after the cut, you could be, oh, I'm actually feeling pretty lean. I'm actually liking the way I look. I've got a good bit of muscle. I don't want to be fucking jacked and be fucking huge, so I don't really need to bulk. I'm just really, really happy with the current physique that I have. And that is fine. That's where you kind of go back up to maintenance, and then you be focused on hitting your protein, eating decent quality food, and you're happy as Larry. Everything is all good. Or if you think, you know what? I want to build some more muscle. After this cut, you'll do the same thing. You'll reverse your calories back up. You get yourself back up to maintenance for a couple of weeks, about a month. Hold it for about a month, and then I would then go into a slow kind of gaining phase. But if you are someone at the start that might have a little bit of muscle, but they just got a little fat to lose, then a 6 to 8 kind of week cut would be the best option. Spending 6 to 8 weeks in a deficit, and then once you kind of got lean, then you can get yourself into a bulk. If you are skinny fat, you haven't got a lot of muscle, you have got fat there that you probably need to lose, then the last thing you need to do is go on a bulk. A lot of people will go and do this, and a lot of people will advise people to do this. Oh, you're in your younger years, you need to go in there and just go for a bulk, even though they've already got 20% body fat. That is not the way to go. That is not the way to go, because what people take this as is a dirty bulk, and they start adding more and more body fat on top of the body fat that they've got. Yes, they might build a little bit more muscle, but they end up just looking like shit and feeling like shit. And let's be real, no one really wants that. So if you don't give a shit what you look like, what you feel like, then be my guest. Go on the bulk and just ruin your life. But if you do want to get into the best shape of your life, then picking a recomp, or if you've got a little bit more muscle on your frame and you're on the higher kind of skinny fat, then you might benefit from a 6 to 8 week cut, going down exactly what my client did there. And as you can see from my client there, he had a little bit of body fat, he had a little bit of muscle, not too much, probably not enough muscle to kind of go into a gaining phase, but he was kind of in that sticky kind of point situation where we're like, oh, which one should we do? So what we did, we focused on a recomp. We kept the calorie deficit small, 200 to 300 calories. We looked at the calories that he was eating. We didn't just go, oh, eat at this number, eat at this magic number and you're gonna lose weight. We focused on his foods. We started cutting out the junk food. We focused on prioritizing whole food. Massive focus on protein, hitting 1 gram to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And we also, in the gym, made sure he was progressing his lifts week on week, getting stronger, making sure he was consistent with his training so he was able to build muscle, and we gave him enough food so he was able to build muscle and lose fat at the exact same time. And when we got to the end of this 8-week little recomp, we then built his calories back up to in around maintenance, and then we decided to put him in a slow gaining phase so we can put on a lot more muscle and do it from a position where he was already pretty lean, so the gaining phase could last a lot longer. So basically, to do a quick little recap, if you are skinny fat, you've essentially got 3 options. You either bulk, you either recomp, or you either cut. Bulk, I wouldn't recommend it. Recomp, that's the way I would go. And then you've obviously got your cut as well. It may take a little bit longer. It's gonna be the best one down the line because you're gonna be able to build muscle, lose fat at the exact same time. Not do it forever, do it to a certain point where you're happy with the amount of muscle you've got, and you're going, oh, I might want to lose a little bit of weight here. I've got a decent whack of muscle here, I've built a bit of muscle, 6-12 months, and then you go for a 12-week cut. And then after that, you've got different options. You can then build the calories back up, get to maintenance, and then go for a gaining phase, or you can hold maintenance for a few months and then go, I want to get shredded, and then get shredded, shred down, and then you look fucking unbelievable. You then got the muscle, you've got the abs, and you are absolutely loving life. If you found that video helpful, then drop a like, drop a comment, and please subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.